It's Tuesday, it's June 2nd, and this is the current music news. I'm Jade.
And I'm Jay. There are no words for the sadness and anger that Minnesota has been feeling in the wake of the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer. On our last episode last Thursday, we talked about that brutal act and about the community's profound grief and rage. And since then, we've seen those feelings spread across the country and around the world.
So there have been so many more important and urgent conversations that needed to be had this week. But, we started thinking about it, and Minnesota is our scene. This is our home. And George Floyd was a part of that scene. This was his home. And so we wanted to share some of what has been going on, what people are talking about, what it's like here right now.
To put it simply, we have seen the Minnesota music community show up. We have seen artists in the streets and online raising their voices, demanding justice, documenting what they saw, and then coming back to help with cleanup, to help feed people, and raise funds for supplies.
Artists like Ness Knight, who has decided to make her social media platform a place for news updates. She's amplifying stories. She is posting about protest plans. She also was warning followers about where it might be risky to go and why.
Gully Boys are a local rock band. This time last year, they were playing block parties. Now they're out coordinating rides for protesters, helping get people to safer spaces when needed, coordinating food and supply runs as well.
Hip-hop artist nur-d started a medic station, and in fact, he jumped in with care and caution and crowd control when a man was stabbed. Harmar Superstar, he's been doing supply runs for families and neighborhood businesses that have been boarded up or damaged. And in fact, he learned a little something about diapers.
The Steels are a legendary local family of gospel musicians, and on Friday night, they stepped out into a front yard to stream some music of light and hope.
Love's in me. Love today. Love today. Don't delay. Don't wait. Right away.
Still, this week was about the fact that no amount of light or hope or music prevented George Floyd from dying under the knee of a Minneapolis police officer. People are angry, and Minneapolis burned.
We woke up Friday morning to hear news that the Hexagon Bar, which had been open since 1934. It had seen everything from polka bands in the 1950s to heavy metal bands today, and it had been gutted by flames.
With some outside extremists coming in to try to spread destruction and damage, they're distracting from people who are trying to be heard. So there's a lot of anger when someone with access to the Hexagon's Facebook page went on and posted a message blaming, quote, Black Lives Matter arsonists for, quote, shocking lawless activities. The page later took that message down and said it was not authorized, but there's already a lot of damage done among the bar's former patrons and neighbors who posted messages saying things like, quote, you should stay closed.
The Turf Club, that's a venue of around the same vintage, that one was broken into and vandalized. And yes, the community has rallied around these businesses and communities coming together to help clean and fundraise for them. But really, there is a clear message coming out here in the Twin Cities, and that is, this is about George Floyd. It's about police brutality. It is about institutional racism. Dana Frank, who owns the vandalized turf, wrote on Instagram, unfortunately, the turf was hurt last night, but we'll rebuild. We're not dead. You know who's dead? George Floyd. We've been connecting and reaching out to artists to hear where they're at. What are they feeling right now? We spoke to Andre Cymone. He was a close friend and an early bandmate of Prince. Here's what he had to say.
I think, just spiritually, my heart is broken. It's we are at a place, in America right now that's just a sad place to be in. Where my kid is doing a project for school about Frederick Douglass, right? How far we've come as a culture, as a society, as Black people, and and when he's finishing that project, this happens, and he's wondering, how does he finish this? Does he finish it by saying basically nothing's changed? Because it's basically, in essence, the same thing going on right now. So, my perspective is probably the same as so many other people, because I've heard people say it. And, obviously I was born and raised in Minneapolis, and having felt the pressure of the police station, because every Black man in America, in Minneapolis, but across the country, really is one cop stop away from, possible death.
You can see that full interview at thecurrent.org, as well as more artist voices, including Maria Issa and Muja Messiah, talking about George Floyd's work creating safer spaces for communities of color in the Twin Cities. That's the current music news. We'll be back this week with more voices, and we'll be talking about conversations around creating change within the music industry.
We're going to leave you with a new song from an up-and-comer in the Minneapolis scene, Du Soleil. And they have a new song that they said was going to be included on a future project, but with everything that's happening right now, they wanted to put out the song to demand justice for the family of George Floyd and countless others who have had their lives stolen by the police. The song's called Body Cast.
Lately I had plaster on my county ain't on shit, they got bodies on the line. Lately I've been analyzing time, y'all been dodging cameras like they're bullets of a crime. Lately all my rations turn to wine, throwing back the bottles till our trauma's all alive. Lately I've been coughing up the rhymes, throwing little fingers like they hopping on my knife. Bitch, I never said it, nah, I never said it. I never said it. Snitching, you'll regret it. Switching up a setting. Stitch upon your lips, I know you